The Express, Daily Express.
Thank you. Prime Minister, your critics have suggested that you've had to be dragged into taking the action you announced on Monday and that you've allowed the virus to spread. Do you regret not going further sooner? And also, if I may, you suggested in the Commons earlier that you might introduce new laws to deal with profiteering. Are you angry at retailers and individuals who are trying to exploit this crisis? And how far are you prepared to go? Could it include jail terms?
Thanks very much, Sam. Well, on the first very important question, as I said right at the beginning, and indeed right at the beginning of this crisis, we were going to do the right measures at the right time, not according to political diktat, but according to the best scientific and medical advice in the world. And there are good reasons for wanting to tackle an epidemic strictly in accordance with the scientific advice. And that is what we have done, and I continue to believe that that is the right approach for this country and the right approach for the UK. We have the best scientific advice in the world, and we will continue to follow it. On your other important question about profiteering, I dislike it very much, and I do not want to see people profiteering, people exploiting people's need at a critical time, a national emergency. So we are indeed looking very carefully at what is going on. The Competition Markets Authority already has various powers that it may use, but we are looking at the legislative framework to see what it may be necessary to do to prevent profiteering, just as happened, in wartime many years ago. Is there anything you want to add on any of that?
I mean, the most important measures got put in place first, and that's the right thing to do. Washing hands was critical, isolating, household isolation, get these things, and now we've got a very strong package in. And the one thing I would say, it's incredibly important that we stick to it. It's incredibly important that people understand that this is about breaking the transmission of the virus, and we can only do that if we all do it.
That is absolutely right. Thank you. David Hughes, PA, last question. David Hughes, PA.
Prime Minister, by tomorrow it will already be too late for many self-employed people who have already found themselves in hardship or been forced to risk their health and that of others by continuing to work. What's your message to them, and will you apologise for the delay in providing them with the kind of support that employed workers have already been given? And to the CMO, what's the current occupation rate of critical care beds in England, and can you be confident that the measures announced over the past week will prevent that capacity being overwhelmed?
Well, thanks very much, David. And I just really repeat what I've said before. I think the government has moved with extraordinary speed to support and prop up the whole of the economy of this country, putting our arms around workers of all kinds to the best extent that we possibly can. And yes, of course, it was easier to move furthest and fastest with employees because their PAYE details are, of course, available. It's been more complex, as you can understand, to support the self-employed because there are many different arrangements that they have, and it's been tricky to work out a package that will address the needs of as many people as possible. But that has been done. It's been done at incredible speed. Rishi Sunak will be announcing a package tomorrow, and I genuinely don't think there's been a time in our history in the last century, certainly, when the government of this country has put its arms around so many people to get us through a very tough time. We will get through it, and we will get through it together.
So at this point in time, critical cares, as of today, there is not enormous pressure on critical cares compared to a bad or even normal winter day, for example, in the NHS today. But we expect the demand for critical care beds to continue to rise over the next 2 weeks. That is entirely what we expect to happen, and that is what will happen over that time. So clearly the demand is going to go up from the coronavirus. Now, because of the actions that people are taking, and provided everybody continues to keep the social distancing measures, which are very difficult in terms of staying within households, only doing absolutely essential things apart from exercise, that will help to pull down the demand a very long way. That is how people in the general general public, all of us, are helping to protect the NHS. At the same time, the NHS is increasing supply by either a combination of pushing out in time things which can be postponed and increasing the critical care and particularly the ventilated bed capacity over the next weeks. And we are, this is going to be a close-run thing. We all know that. And anybody who looks around the world can see this is going to be difficult for every health system. But the measures that have been announced for the general public, which all of us have to do if the NHS is to get through this without exceeding its capacity, and the fantastic work by the NHS and my colleagues in the NHS to increase supply, that is the way that we will narrow this gap to the smallest possible gap over the next 3 weeks. And we do think that if everybody sticks to the staying in your household unless absolutely essential, this gap will be probably manageable by the NHS, but we cannot guarantee that, and nobody who is sensible would wish to guarantee that, but we think that is what we are planning for, and that is what we intend to happen.
Right, well, thanks everybody very much, and thanks to our friends in the media for their questions. Thank you to you all for tuning in and watching this. I hope that it has been useful, and we'll be back tomorrow, or there'll be another update tomorrow here from Downing Street on the fight against coronavirus. But remember, the essentials, we will beat this, we will beat it together, and we will do it by protecting our NHS, staying at home, and that is how we will save lives. Thanks everybody.
Prime Minister bringing to an end the latest daily press briefing from Downing Street. Let's remind ourselves just now of the main points from that daily briefing.